The sun was setting on the African savanna, casting a golden glow over the horizon. 12-year-old Emily Carter stood frozen, clutching the straps of her worn-out backpack. She had always been fearless, running barefoot across the grasslands near her family's research camp, chasing butterflies, and sketching animals in her notebook. But nothing in her young life had prepared her for the sight before her, a lion, massive and majestic, lying on its side in the dust. His breathing was shallow, his golden mane tangled with blood and dirt. Around his paw was a thick, rusty trap, its cruel metal teeth cutting deep into his flesh. Emily's heart hammered in her chest. She had read about poachers and traps, but she never thought she'd come face to face with one of their victims. Her father, a wildlife researcher, had warned her countless times, lions are dangerous. If you see one, stay back. But Emily didn't see danger in the lion's amber eyes, she saw pain. He wasn't roaring. He wasn't attacking. He was suffering. And in that moment, she made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. With trembling hands, Emily approached. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but something stronger, something deep inside her, kept her rooted. She crouched down a few feet away, whispering softly as though her words could soothe him. "It's okay. I'm here to help you," she murmured, though her voice quivered. The lion's eyes followed her, wary yet strangely trusting. Emily spotted the trap mechanism. She remembered how her father once explained that if you pulled the lever hard enough, it would release. Taking a shaky breath, she edged closer. The lion flinched, a low growl rumbling in his throat, but he didn't strike. Perhaps he knew she wasn't his enemy. With all her strength, Emily yanked at the lever. It didn't budge. Sweat poured down her forehead. She tried again, her small hands shaking. Finally, with a loud snap, the trap loosened, clattering to the ground. The lion roared, not in fury, but in relief, as he pulled his bleeding paw free. Emily stumbled back, terrified for the first time that he might turn on her. Instead, he limped a few steps, then stopped. He looked back at her, holding her gaze in a way that seemed almost human. For a long moment, girl and lion simply stared at each other, two lives bound by a single act of courage. Then, with a final flick of his tail, the lion disappeared into the tall grass. Emily didn't know it then, but that day would never leave her. Nor would the lion. Years passed. Emily grew up, left Africa, and carried the memory of that lion like a secret stitched into her soul. She became a journalist, traveling across continents, writing stories of hope, resilience, and the bond between people and nature. Yet sometimes, late at night, she would dream of amber eyes staring back at her under the fading sun. Life moved quickly. Bills, deadlines, heartbreaks, and triumphs, she experienced it all. But as much as the world changed around her, Emily never forgot that moment of trust between a girl and a wounded lion. One year, Emily returned to Africa, this time not as a child but as a woman with a mission. She had been invited to cover a story about illegal poaching and the dwindling lion population. As she drove across the savannah with a guide, memories flooded back. Her chest tightened as she looked out over the tall grass, wondering if that lion she once saved was still alive, or if he had long become another victim of hunters. The camp where she stayed was near a reserve, surrounded by wild beauty and hidden dangers. One evening, while photographing the golden sunset, Emily wandered farther than she should have. The air grew cooler, the sky darker, and the silence heavier. She realized too late that she had lost sight of the trail. Her guide's voice was nowhere to be heard. Her phone had no signal. Panic gripped her as the darkness thickened. The savannah was not forgiving after nightfall. Suddenly, the silence shattered. From the shadows, a figure emerged, tall, lean, and menacing. It wasn't an animal. It was a man, his face partially hidden, holding a rifle slung across his shoulder. A poacher. Emily's heart raced. She tried to back away, but he stepped closer, his voice low and sharp. "What are you doing here?" Her throat went dry. She knew the stories. Poachers didn't just kill animals, they silenced witnesses too. Before she could answer, another sound echoed across the plain, the unmistakable roar of a lion. The man froze. His grip on the rifle tightened as a massive shape emerged from the grass. Golden mane, powerful muscles, eyes burning like fire. A lion. Emily gasped. For a split second, she thought it was the end, that the wild beast would strike her down before the poacher even had a chance. But then the lion turned, not toward her, but toward the armed man. With a deafening roar, he charged. The poacher stumbled back, panic flashing across his face, and bolted into the darkness, dropping his rifle as he ran. Emily stood trembling, her legs too weak to move. The lion stopped just a few feet from her, breathing heavily. Her eyes widened as recognition sparked. The scar, faint but visible, ran across his paw. The same paw she had freed years ago. Tears blurred her vision. "It's you," she whispered, her voice breaking. The lion's gaze locked on hers, calm and steady, just as it had been that day when she was 12. He didn't advance. He didn't retreat. He simply stood there, as though guarding her. For minutes, they remained like that, woman and lion, reunited by fate. Then, with a final rumbling growl that seemed almost like reassurance, he turned and melted back into the grasslands. Emily collapsed to her knees, sobbing, not from fear, but from awe, gratitude, and the overwhelming truth of what had just happened. Years ago, she had risked her life to save him. Tonight, he had returned a gift. When her guide finally found her, Emily could barely speak. She held the dropped rifle in her hands, the only evidence of the poacher's presence. But what she carried most was the unshakable memory of amber eyes and a roar that had chased away death itself. Back at camp, under the starlit sky, Emily wrote in her journal. "Kindness is never wasted. Even when we think the world forgets, even when time moves on, the seeds of compassion we plant have a way of finding their way back to us. Sometimes, in the most extraordinary ways." Emily's story would go on to inspire thousands. Her article on the bond between humans and wildlife spread across the globe, reminding people of the fragile beauty of nature and the power of selfless courage. And though she never saw the lion again, she didn't need to. She knew, deep in her heart, that their souls were forever linked by an unspoken promise. That when a girl once saved a lion's life, the lion, years later, saved hers.